The Valorant community has many opinions on Astra. She's OP, she sucks, she needs buffs, she needs nerfs, she's too hard to play, too easy to play, needs too much communication, has no counterplay, and just so much more. So what's the truth? Why does she have a problem? I've been playing Astra since she came out, and still do to this day. If you scroll through my YouTube page, you'll see guide after guide, all being 20 to 30 minutes long, explaining how to play her, so I'm the best person you could ask on the subject. And no, I won't be biased. Please subscribe. To start, let's begin with the initial release of Astra. On March 2nd, 2021, with patch 2.04, the fourth controller was added to Valor, a galaxy-brained agent named Astra. Her abilities haven't changed since she was added. She has a smoke, nebula, a vortex/whirlpool ability called Gravity Well, a stun called Nova Pulse, and her unpenetrable wall, Cosmic Divide. With her abilities came a completely new way of playing the game, that being her astral form. The thing is, none of her abilities can be used if she doesn't have any stars down. At the time, Astra had 5 stars. She could go into astral form by pressing her ultimate key, and by doing so, she could place stars anywhere around the map. These stars couldn't be broken and exist as long as Astra wants it to be there. The initial impression for Astra wasn't really a good one. Many people called her bad, clunky, and unfun because inherently that meant you needed to pre-plan and have stars down ahead of time. Aggressive plays weren't available to her. She only had one playstyle and was only good in one specific way, and that way was to be defensive. And damn, was she good at that. The pro community was the first to really start recognizing this. Stars would be pre-placed to have instant smokes at a moment's notice, and every time the attackers needed to run through a choke point, they were pretty much forced to run through a gravity well and a smoke. Defense win rates skyrocketed, and the true power of Astra really started to shine. Some may say, like a star. Please don't unsubscribe. If you don't understand how strong she was yet, these are the pick rates from BCT Stage 3 Masters, and it has Astra being at a 60% pick rate, the third highest behind Jet and Sova. Now, you might not think that's too bad until you realize that of the 6 maps at the time, 4 were above 80%, and on the other 2, 0% only because they were Viper maps. She was essentially the ghost third man for every site defense. Usually you have to split up your defenders, 2 on each site with 1 mid. But with Astra, that's not really the case. She supports the site she's at and the site she's not. Running into Astra's util is inevitable.
I am inevitable.
Well, it didn't take long for Riot to notice a glaring problem. Astra was too strong and completely overshadowing Brim and Omen, so with patch 3.0, Astra was hit with her first set of large nerfs. These nerfs increased the cooldown time of her Gravity Well and Nova Pulse from 12 seconds to 25 seconds, over double what it used to be. Recalling stars also went from 8 seconds to 15, and she only gained 1 free star at the beginning of the round instead of the previous 2. To balance her nerfs, the stars cost were decreased from 200 credits to 150, and that pretty much wraps up patch 3.0. So what's the problem? Surely that fixed it, didn't it? Well, I guess it helped. It decreased pro pick rate of her by 1%. Yep, 1. This time she had a 100% pick rate on Haven Ascent, so no, the problem wasn't really fixed. The problem with Astra isn't cooldowns, although it did help to increase them. The problem was counterplay. Astra stars are there whether you like it or not. You want to hit a site? Well, you gotta run through tons of her util. The only way to fight fire here is with fire, resulting in the previously explained pick rates. Her cooldowns may be slowed, but it doesn't matter unless it's the second time she's activating that ability. This promotes a much slower playstyle to Valorant, waiting to try to bait out Astra utility before hitting any site, and dragging out rounds close to the end of the round timer before attackers would even get onto the site. People started calling for rework, saying that she can't be fixed and is just rotten to the core. But as you know, she's still the same and actually has a relatively healthy pick rate. So what changed? What changed is patch 4.04, the largest set of nerfs that have ever hit Astra. Gravity Well and Nova Pulse cooldowns were increased again from 25 seconds to 45 seconds, almost doubled. Her smokes and recall cooldown was also increased from 14 seconds to 25, and the largest of them all, she dropped from 5 stars to 4. Previously, you could place 2 stars at each site and 1 to flex on your body depending on what the situation called for. But now that's no longer possible. If you did that, you would have no flexibility, and with the nerfs to recall star, you wouldn't be able to reposition your stars fast enough from the opposite site if your util happened to get baited out. And boy, did this reflect in the play rate. Pick rates for Astra dropped to 23% from the previous 60 and gave way to her replacement, Omen. people said Astra was dead, and by people, I mean I said Astra was dead, and in ranked play, it reflected with almost no one playing Astra anymore. Even I started swapping toward Brim, Omen, and Viper. By the way, I have guides on those too, you should check it out, and join my stream, twitch.tv/FlowShizzle. Now, you're probably wondering, how in the world is she okay now? Well, a few things have changed. For starters, Breeze and Icebox as of this video are not in the map pool. They were notoriously Viper maps, and it gave a rise to dome-centric smokes. And while Astra hasn't been buffed in any significant way, the player base has. Given time, players now know that they have to be more selective of placing her stars. Placing too many in the early round gives little wiggle room on the defense. Her playstyle is extremely compatible with post-plant comps, and players are now using her recall star mechanic as a temporary smoke to cross chasms that would normally be too risky. She's still strong, but only if you know how to play her. So then you might be wondering, what's the problem? The problem is, not a lot of people want to play Astra. She's not as flashy as Omen, and her skill ceiling is quite high. Anytime you want to do anything, you have to have already thought of it ahead of time. Who thought it was a good idea to make you deaf when you go into astral form anyway? As if it wasn't hard enough already. People are rushing you and you don't have stars down? Good luck winning your gunfight. She's an unappealing choice to many of the newer players as well. That also follows for people who just want to have fun. Let's be honest, that's a significant part of the player base. Something that people don't realize is that if there are two choices between two sites, and both sites have two players, you'd actually rather go to the site with Astra, since her util is going to be on the other side of the map too. She is the weak link on the defense. Players realize that they would much rather play any other smokes that have a less selfless role, especially in ranked. She's the unsung hero where your teammates don't recognize your value and you have a hard time proving it on the scoreboard. You can't give Astra more stars or we'll be back at square one. We can reduce the cooldown again, but then baiting out util becomes too hard for the attackers. Her kit is clunky, her impact is unfelt, so why bother? Well, there is a niche of people out there. People who like being challenged, don't mind getting the shorter end of the stick, and want to win as a team. And if you're watching, it might be you. Astra will likely always be an agent that is impossible to completely balance. But if you haven't given her a shot, try it out and you might like her a little more than you think.